Again, thank you for being there. Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM. This is the voice of the people broadcasting from the radio house here in Bekuta. Yes, Citizens Forum. This morning, we will again be looking at issues related to. Okay, let's go this way. Some people will say it's a season of strike actions. And many of those strike actions, again, people will say is predicated on salaries, emoluments, and allowance of the Nigerian workers. Well, a lot of backups, reasons given to defend the different positions Nigerians have held. Some will go into the scriptures to also say why anybody whose work, due for work, must be due to be paid. And the different strike actions appear to have confirmed that. Well, again, Nigerians have also postulated on so many issues as to the figures of what should be done about salaries of Nigerian workers. They will go as far as comparing it with that of the politicians. And the two main labor union who are collating and fostering the affairs of these Nigerian workers have, well, legitimately approached the federal government. This being something that's been on for some time now about increasing the wages or salaries of Nigeria. We call it living wage. What that means or how can that be achieved is another cup of tea entirely. Different figures are presented, but the vice president, now vice president, then acting president, on his own came out to suggest what some people think is a novel idea, brilliant idea. Let us have what we call selected wage increase. Honestly, whatever that means, I don't understand. But those who are involved, we are aware that the government is preparing to begin formal negotiation with organized labours and NECA, that's the National Employers Consultative Association, and government on how to achieve this. Would this be part of what that committee will be discussing? What exactly is the understanding of the umbrella body of labor unions, the NLC and the TUC, on what the position of this federal government, of our federal government, means on selective wage increase? How will this be achieved? Is it going to give us a random figure? Is it going to give us a random grading, or what do you call it, promotion of Nigerian workers? Let's look at all this and many more, as it has to do with emoluments, allowances from between government and the labor union. Dele Ayodo remains my name. Quickly, let's go to Abuja, where the Secretary General of the Nigerian Labour Congress is waiting online for us. Dr. Ozo-Esan, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you this morning, sir?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you listened to our intro, and I know that you are in it. Discussing or preparing to discuss this very vital, crucial issue of the emolument of Nigerian workers, living wage and labor. Like I did mention earlier on, what is your understanding of that position of the vice president now about selective or selected increase for workers' wages?
Well, the statement credited to the Vice President on this matter, I have read all the reported details, and I think that the first thing to make clear is that I did not see anywhere the Vice President was talking of the issue of the minimum wage. So we shouldn't confuse that matter with the minimum wage. The committee, the tripartite committee on minimum wage, what it is supposed to do is look at all the parameters and determine what a new minimum wage would be. Minimum wage is a figure below which no employer of labor is supposed to pay its workers. That, I think, has nothing to do with what the Vice President is talking about. Because the minimum wage, it will not be selective. The minimum wage is based on a law once it is agreed, and it is applicable to across the board as a minimum wage. However, the issue of general wage review, which I think is what the Vice President is still talking about, as to whether there is need for that or selective reviews through what he referred to as bonuses and all that. I think again it is based on certain confusion. I think that the issue of wage in the public sector, wage review in the public sector, if properly done, it should be based on collective bargaining. You know, we have different collective agreements in the public sector. You have collective agreements that are signed, for instance, with NASU, you have with ASU, you have with NAT, you have with various other sectors, that's in the educational sector. Then you have in the general civil service, you have what the last collective agreement that was signed. And I think that what is required is that the government must put in place its capacity to use the collective bargaining framework to do wage reviews. If it does that, then it is at the negotiating table with each group of employees that you will now be determine what adjustments to make. If you look at the private sector, that is how wages are driven. It is not a matter of whether you select or don't select. Collective bargaining negotiations take place, and each sectoral group getting agrees on wage increase or not. And I think that that's what's important. And government needs to start using the industrial relations architecture, which is used universally as the basis, instead of, depending on the side of the bed we wake up from, we then pronounce something. So the Vice President clearly entitled to his own view, but how will he then determine which areas that require bonus and areas that do not? And in any case, if we're talking of a general wage review, what would be the argument for keeping some people fixated when others are adjusted? When the inflation that is eroding the purchasing power of the existing salary is across the board. These are issues that need to be taken on board. And I think that if things are done properly and they are done within the institutionalized structures of collective bargaining negotiations, then the confusion that seems to be going back and forth will be cleared.
Dr. Ozo-Esan, a rising topical public debate now is about physical restructuring, devolution, decentralization of power in the country. And if you say minimum wage or payment of salary should be based on collective bargaining, some people will say this will go negating or aberrance at that purpose, where we know that some people may not be able to meet it. But why don't you allow each employer, each state, to determine what his minimum wage will be?
No, again, that is born out of complete ignorance. The issue of minimum wage has nothing to do with fiscal federalism. You can survey the whole world, and we have done so. Federations. The minimum wage is set not just for public sector employees. Minimum wage is set for the whole economy, and it is to set a floor beyond which no worker will be paid, so as not to create a pool of the working poor. It has nothing to do with fiscal federalism. But we need to distinguish between minimum wage and wages. Wages generally, you do not have the same wage table being applied across the federation in the public sector. Different states have their own. The federal has its own, and that is normal. You can do your negotiation on terms are. But as for the minimum wage, which is a legal prescription, that is not a matter for fiscal federalism or evolution of power or whatever. I think there is that basic confusion. Even the US that we always want to talk about to copy. In the US, there is a federal minimum wage, and no state can go and pay below that. States, of course, can set their own above if they so choose, but there has to be a floor that is across the board, and both public and private sector, beyond which no employer is allowed to pay. That's the concept of the minimum wage. Look at the ILO literature on the evolution of the minimum wage. It is very clear. It has nothing to do with the issue of federalism or fiscal federalism or the evolution of power. People are just either being mischievous or are completely confused and knowledgeable about the matter.
Now, Dr. Ozo-Esan, what will you say to those who will say that the reality on ground now, even with the current 18,000 or so minimum wage, is that there are many people in the private sector who are not keeping to this, that each time a minimum wage is fixed, it appears it is only for government or public workers?
No, that is not true. That is not true. As a matter of fact, we receive collective agreements that are entered into by various sectors in the private sector. I can tell you that the private sector, the organized private sector, seems to always fix their own sectoral minimum wage above the minimum wage. The ones you're talking about are probably those that are in the informal economy. Those in the, the law also prescribes this is applicable to employers who employ more than 25 workers. So if you are employing 2 workers, the law it doesn't cover you and all that. So it is not true that it is only the public sector. As a matter of fact, we even have a state in this country today that is violating the law because it is paying below the minimum wage. It is a violation of a law, and the government has a right to enforce the law.
Why has Labour not ensured that that state enforce that law? And why has the organized Labour ensured that that state complies with that law? And if I may ask, which state?
Right now there is industrial action going on in the state to force compliance.
Which state is that, sir? Can you remind us?
That goes on, but the enforcement of a law is in the hands of government. The government has the institutions and the instruments of legal enforcement, and that state ought to be brought before the court. Because if you look at the minimum wage law, if you violate, there are prescriptions, there are punishments that are prescribed in the law. It is for the government to do what is correct and enforce the law.
Dr. Zedon, please, may you remind us of which of the 36 states is that are you talking about?
I'm talking about Zamfara State.
Okay, Zamfara. Now, to the tripartite meeting, government has named its own team. When or what is the situation of that meeting, the committee?
Well, to start, I have not seen the naming of the government team. Government may have its own team. They asked us to submit our own team, which we did immediately. We have nominated our team. It is the government that is to announce the chairman and the secretary. So, and then inaugurate the committee and let the committee start its work. Till today, government has not taken that step, and we are continuing to impress on government the need to urgently inaugurate the committee and let the committee start its work.
We'll be talking about this committee.
Our members list, and we're just waiting for the committee to start work.
We'll be talking about this committee for almost 2 years or more now, without it taking off, and doing anything. What is stalling it? The two sides agreed or appear to have agreed to talk. But what is stalling it?
Well, I've just told you what is stalling it. It is government that has to take that initiative to inaugurate, name the chairman or chairperson and the secretary, and then inaugurate the committee. And so the government is the one that should be asked why the delay and why it has taken this long to do that. Even when it has informed the nation as some in the past that the ESCO had approved the committee's setup and that they already had approved the chairperson. So we are waiting to have those details. And I think that it is government that should be asked those questions.
Thank you, Dr. Ozo-Esan, Secretary General, Nigeria Labour Congress, for talking to us on Rock City FM in Abeokuta.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
Okay. That's the voice, our interview with Dr. Ozo-Esan, Secretary General of the Nigerian Labour Congress, of course, on the position of the federal government through or as pronounced by the Vice President that minimum wage issue will be done or promotion increment will be done on selective method, and we try to find out what that means. Of course, his position is that that is a confusion or confusing statement from from the government now, that there can't be anything like that. What they insist, what they opt for, what they want is collective bargaining. And for those who think it is not possible, it will negate the cry for fiscal restructuring, decentralizing power. He says that again is arrant ignorance. As United States of America, that is usually used as the base for argument, has its own minimum wage. That even the 18,000 that is currently the minimum wage is still being violated by Zamfara State. And the tripartite committee, for them, Labour is ready. They are merely waiting for the federal government. What is stalling it, they also do not know. But they are ready to negotiate, and their position is that there must be a benchmark, a minimum wage figure set for all public and private, even informal sectors of Nigeria's economy to have a minimum wage. Well, like we'll know, the Central Labour Body, we have two of them, very powerful one. The Dr. Ozo-Esan is speaking for the NLC. We'll take this break and try to get what the thoughts of the Trade Union Congress, the other arm of the Labour Union, is through the President-General, Boboye Kaigama. Let's take this short break and try to establish contact with Malam Boboye Kaigama. Welcome back. Yes, you are still tuned to Rock City 101.9 FM in the city of Abeokuta Citizens Forum. This morning, we are looking at the labor issue of wages, salaries. Of course, you are aware that different trade union labor organizations are on strike, and the central labor bodies, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union of Congress of Nigeria, are also ready, warming up for the tripartite discussion with the federal government on what a minimum wage will be in the country. However, the vice president, then acting as the president, came out to say that minimum wage issue of wages promotion should be done through what he called selected method. Whatever that means, that's what we are trying to find out. What is the interpretation of this statement, this position by the different umbrella bodies of labor? How will this be achieved? And of course, we also want to look at the stage of the tripartite discussion between organized labor, the private sector, and the government. Earlier on, we spoke with the NLC Secretary General. Now we have on the line, all the way from Taraba State, I suppose, the President General Trade Union Congress, Boboye Kaigama. Good morning, PG.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, I'm fine, and you? All right, PG, I'm sure you have also read that statement indicating the position of government by the Vice President, saying issue of minimum wage is proposing that it becomes a selective method that he thinks will solve the various agitation for a national minimum wage. First, what does that mean? How do you interpret that?
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, I say the statement of the Vice President is just putting the cart before the horse. A tripartite body is being put in place. Government has not inaugurated that body. It is only that body that can make a recommendation to government and the Federal Executive Council, followed by the National Council of State, taking decision and making recommendations to the National Assembly for a legislation on national minimum wage. So for the Vice President to have made that statement, I think he's putting the answer before even the processes. So I will discontinence that his statement and then say that the only body by law that is supposed to treat that issue is the tripartite body that is being put in place. So we are waiting for government to inaugurate that body. It is only the recommendation of that body that government can work with. So minimum wage can never be selective. A national minimum wage is a kind of a template that all employers of labor in the country cannot go below. So it's not only for the public sector, it is also for the private sector. In fact, even the private sector, it's also for the informal sector. So we are looking forward to a scenario where the law will be reviewed to ensure that our employers of labor who have at least one employee in their employ should pay that national minimum wage. The current law says that it is only enforceable on employers with a minimum of 50 employees in their employ.
Now, Madam Kaigama.
Yes.
Okay, when you say issue minimum wage, it's and the committee's recommendation is what will decide that. There are people who will say you are dragging the country back when we are talking about fiscal restructuring, decentralizing power from the central, and of course there are facts that it is not all employers, particularly in the private sector, and we have the case of Zamfara, a government who is not complying with the current minimum wage we have.
Well, minimum wage is a national minimum wage. You see, during the Obasanjo administration, when the minimum wage was 5,000 naira, Lagos decided to pay 7,500. Rivers also did the same. In fact, Zamfara State then also did the same. So what we are saying is that the national minimum wage is a kind of a barest minimum that all employers of labor must not pay below. So, but you have a privilege. If you choose, you can pay more. So, normally it is a process that is taken with the participation of all the critical stakeholders. Employers of labor represented by NECA, the representative of the 36 states of the Federation, representative of the federal government, and the representative of organized labor. We all sit down, every sector will make their own recommendation. Then we digest, analyze this input, then come up with an agreeable figure to all. Any national minimum wage you see, minimum wage amount you see, is a figure that is agreed by all the critical stakeholders.
PG.
Is a country.
PG.
For somebody to say that what my predecessor has agreed to this, me, I will renege on it.
That's the point, PG. Sorry for interjecting you. That's the point. If you say it was agreed by all groups, and we have some groups, even state, not complying, why are we pushing forward to increase for another one when the one we have now is not totally being complied with and it's not being enforced?
Well, It's not that people are willingly not interested in complying with, because the resources are there. You and I are aware of how funds are being mismanaged in this country by state governors. Only few state governors can stand their shoulders high and say they are managing their resources very, very efficiently. So what we are saying is that they should be accountable. Salaries should be paid. If, for instance, in Zamfara State, during the era of the current senator who is representing Zamfara State, he was paying 7,500 naira over and above the national minimum wage. And he was paying that very well. There is no reason why successive administrations cannot emulate him. So every state has enough resources to fund their own salary requirements. But they are not interested in paying the wages of workers, because their interest is to see how they can fund frivolous contracts, get their cuts from those contracts, and then keep them to themselves and their families and their cronies. So this country has realized that we are putting square pegs in round holes. So we are looking forward to 2019 to see who are these governors that are not interested, that are not worker friendly. We will mobilize Nigerian workers to really show them the way out.
Now, PG, to this tripartite committee, which is expected to fix an increased minimum wage now, the country has been reported to be formally gone into recession and minimally getting out of it. Do you think this is the time, the situation is ripe for this committee to fix any minimum wage?
Well, in fact, when we are in recession, it's the best time to even tap off the national minimum wage. Recession comes with inflation, comes with a lot of hardship on workers generally. So by the time you jack up their own salary, it improves on their own standard of living. So the first thing Obama administration did when the U.S. government was in a recession during his era was to jack up the national minimum wage to $10 per hour. And going forward, the U.S. economy improved with time. What we are saying is that this country has been under very, very bad leadership. We want good governance. We want governments that are accountable to their electorate. We want government that can come out and say, look, this is how much we earn from so sector. And this is how much we distribute to all the tiers of government. And every tier of government should be transparent enough, to be accountable enough to its own level of electorate. It's the only way that, look, it's not that Nigeria doesn't have money. Nigeria has the money, but the monies are being mismanaged by those in leadership position.
All right. On the tripartite committee now, what is the situation with it? Labour seems to have named his own committee. Federal government have also expressed willingness to commence talk. Why has that not been so?
Well, I would love that you ask, you throw this question to the government team. The organized labor have submitted their own list of delegates to the tripartite committee. So we are looking forward to government to announce the chairman and inaugurate the committee members.
All right, let me thank you very much. The President-General Trade Union Congress, Boboye, Kaigama, we appreciate your call. Okay. Yes, that's the voice of the President-General Trade Union Congress, Madam Boboye Kaigama speaking to us all the way from Taraba State. Of course, we are looking at industrial actions here and there across the country, and people will say this is a crisis period of trying period for the government whose economy has just been said to be minimally moving out of recession. A lot of credit to government, they want to say, after battling the recession for about 2 years. And they appear to have, according to the Minister of Information report this morning, after serious hard work, commitment, prudence, and readdressing or re-engineering spendings and economy of the country, the government is beginning to see the results, moving, at least officially, according to them, out of recession. All right, you can put together those two statements or positions of the two main labor organizations in the country, Nigerian Labour Congress, through the Secretary General, Dr. Ozo-Esan, and the Trade Union Congress through its President-General, Boboye Kaigama. Yes, we begin to take calls straight away from you. Let's get your questions, comments, opinion. They are listening, the two of them are monitoring. Of course, your questions can be answered and comments, but let us remind ourselves that we will not take insult or abuse from anybody on any individual or personality or even group as you make your position. Don't come out with claims that cannot be substantiated. No maligning, no inciting on of any group or person against the other person. These are very important. Coherence and peace is important for our system. Of course, the rules, the time rule, 2 minutes maximum, and seriously move away from the radio when you are putting that call. This is as important as the call itself. You have to move away from the telephone when you are putting the call through. All right, let's see. I can still take about 2 calls or 3 before the national news, which will come up in about 9 minutes. Hello. Hello, good morning. Morning.
Good morning, Dele.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
My name is Honorable Rejaji Larije. I'm calling from the People's Parliament in Abeokuta.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can listen to Kaigama very well. But the not matter is, we don't want government to be giving us the idea that we are moving out of recession. We have not moved anywhere, to be sincere. Still go to the market, you see the price of things are still a very crowded, rate. Then what I think government can do is, we have a lot of presidential chairs starting or whatever, probably now remains 4. Please, let them sell, if possible, 5, remaining 2. If they can sell it, I'm telling you, we can get out of the recession quickly and pay as doctors and everybody will be able to get a lot of people. Let me allow other people to call. God bless you. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Our first caller for this segment. You are on. Let's have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Dele.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, my name is Dr. Kofi Mashiro State. I've listened to both of them, Dele. They are the immediate unit of themselves. They are saying the same thing. They made a bit of 1 or 2 changes. That to me is very good. They are both coherent. They are using the same language. Dele, I have a different view about this minimum now. Now, government says we are coming out of this. We are just notching out of it. I think that we should not allow anything yet. Look, we have been living before with this for a long time. And we can see a day a bit longer. Let this economy come up. And then we can now start talking of either increment or not. Because as we are talking now, market women believe that that's what civil servants are anyway. They have started believing that the minimum wage has come to effect. Meanwhile, they are just talking because there's so much noise about the so-called negotiation. We are doing this one, we are doing that one. Even the populace are confused. Why don't we carry a while? This country belongs to us. Yes, presidential chair, we can send it. We were here when it was bought, though. It's not as if this government bought it. We did not cry at that time. We were here when senators were earning tons of money, or not this government, though. Why don't you wait and say, sorry, sir, let's hold on minimum wage. Let's reduce prices of the emolument of some people in some places, like rulers, senators, and what have you. Why can't you hold on there? Let us do that one. This government has the capability of taking such decisions. Why can't we bank on that yet? So we can, because there are some people who are earning so much and there are some who are earning so little. Why don't you bring it down a bit, narrow the gap a bit, and then before you start talking of national the minimum wage? We are getting of cacophony in all the states. My state governor spent $40,000 to pay people because they score goals. And yet that man cannot pay salaries. And you're talking of minimum wage to that one. Why don't you tell him that that $40 million or $40,000 should come from his pocket, not the pocket of a private state?
All right.
These are the issues.
Thank you.
Is very germane, rather than going to Abuja.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Allocated. All right, let's start this. Perhaps the last for this segment. Hello.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Dele. My name is Sept.
That line is breaking. Can you just move around where you are so that we can have a clearer? Okay. It's still the same thing. I'll permit you to call back. I'm sorry. Let's take the next call so that we won't waste that. Yes, morning, you are on.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this is Malam Broker from Abeokuta. You see, something is so funny about this country. Now, both the Labour and government have been on this issue for a very long time. And you can see the sincerity of the Labour. And now the federal government is dragging its feet. The committee is here, the Labour has sent its representatives, government is not doing anything. And by the time the Labour runs out of patience, and they now call for a strike, then people will start shouting, you could consider the government, then you consider the plight of the people, religious leaders, traditional rulers, they all start appealing to workers. Please let us impress it on the government. Let them bring their members of their own committee and let this negotiation start. Kaigama has said it. Minimum wage only has to do with the barest minimum that any employer that employs 50 and above can pay. That does not mean that states that can pay higher cannot pay. For God's sake, let the federal government do something. Otherwise, the labor will run out of patience. And now people will start calling on labor. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. In the meantime, you can start sending your messages to the short code 32120. Remember, you have to type ROCK first before you type your message, your name, area in which you are also sending it from, and then forward it to 32120. Our Twitter handle is also there. It's at Rock City FM Radio, and of course the Facebook fan page, other platform for you to contribute, be a part of. You keep sending it. I'll be back after the 10 o'clock news. Don't go anywhere. Oh, yes, thank you for still being there, listening to the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM here in the city of Abeokuta. This is the voice of the people. Citizens Forum this morning. It's a season of industrial actions, industrial dispute between the different public workforce and the government. Well, just as this is happening in the universities, in the medical sector, the Nigerian Labour Congress and its counterpart, the Trade Union Congress, are already warming up for a negotiation trying to get government to have to increase the national minimum wage. That's what we are looking at this point. Is it a sign that the labor unrest may not sooner disappeared, or a sign that we will soon reach an end to all these issues? Earlier on, we spoke with the Secretary General all the way from Abuja, Nigerian Labour Congress, Dr. Ozo-Esan. His position is that government is ignorant of labor relations. That's why the acting president, at that time when he was the acting president, right now the vice president has to come out publicly to say what government will employ is a selective method of increasing wages or salaries in Nigeria. Dr. Ozo-Esan said this is not possible in this country, and the issue of a national minimum wage it's a constitutional matter. It is by law, even though we still have states. It specifically identifies Zamfara State as one state that has not complied with the present minimum wage. And of course, he said the tripartite committee, which will have begun work on fashioning out modality for it. Of course, it's about negotiation. Labour is not going to be rigid about which figure to stay put with. Have not begun work because government itself have not shown interest on that committee. Labour has named their own representatives. It is for government to name theirs and name the chairman of that committee and then inaugurate it for talks to begin. We also have online all the way from Taraba State, the President-General of the Trade Union Congress, Malam Boboye Kaigama, who says government is just putting the cart before the horse and employing tactics that will not work. Labour is resolute on negotiating and having the minimum wage, the present minimum wage, increase. Even the United States, that is being set as a standard for many of our discussions in this country, and examples have its own minimum wage, and therefore it will not negate the principle of fiscal federalism or decentralization of power by any government to have a minimum wage fixed for Nigerian workers. Minimum wage is just a benchmark for which government should place its salaries and emoluments on. That did not mean that employers cannot on their own increase that figure. That's the position of the President General Trade Union Congress, Boboye Kaigama. All right, we now have the microphone turned to your side to get your own comments. You can tweet at us at Rock City FM. You can contribute via the short code 32120 is the number to send it. However, it's important that you start whatever you want to type by typing ROCK. That is rock. You leave a space and then get your comments in. Name and the area in which you are sending it from is also very important. Our Facebook page, is also there for you to use. Of course, the house styles remains unchanged. We will not take insult or abuse from any individual personality or group as you make your comments. You do not come out with claims that cannot be substantiated. You don't have to also begin to pick issues with the other caller. I will remind you that we don't all have to agree on the same position. All you have to do is to convince the listeners as to why your own position is stronger than the position you disagreed with. 2 minutes will be the maximum time allocated, and you have, yes, this is very important and compulsory, have to move away from the radio set when you are putting that call through. God bless you as you comply with all these simple, yes, I consider them simple rules. Okay, telephone lines now open. Let's get who is there. 0809868734.
You see, for some time or quite some time now, this thing we are witnessing is just not because of what I mean. The people are looking forward to having in agitation, but it is probably due to credibility problems from our National Assembly and then even the executive themselves, and then we take on the judiciary as well. The three together are not helping us as a nation. We're supposed not to have it gotten to this level if things are being done as it's supposed to be done, either quietly or collectively. When you bring down, the issue of all workers together, and then you have the interest of the people at large in your heart, at the back of your heart. So, unfortunately, the weather that we have now, that was brightened, but unfortunately got to the dark, and then it's raining now. We have a kind of rainy season where everybody is now looking forward to probably the government should meet up their demands in agitation. So my take that we need to have responsible leaders. We have not gotten leaders that probably love to serve the people at all. And that is what we are witnessing now. You can imagine, for instance, a particular woman from Taraba. If you see things that is going on, it means where is the allegiance of some people for? Is it for the people or for to serve all the people or to serve a particular person? Or perhaps your loyalty, is it for the mass of the people? I don't know. If we don't have people that are responsible at all at the end of affairs, there is no way you can have your agitation to be met at all. And that is the way I have seen it now. I think for God we are now. We are maturity, and I believe that it's only God that can take us far from. In this nation. I don't know. I begin to see that hope is now not getting us anywhere. It is that we are just making this hope to come low and low every other day. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, 2 minutes maximum time. Let's
Hello.
get your own call. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Clearly, you are near.
My name is Engineer Abdullah, calling from Obantoko.
All right, let's go. 2 minutes counting already.
I think we are discussing about the salary.
Yes, the proposed selective increase in salary, a proposal from the Vice President.
Quite different from what I thought.
Let's have your own talk. That's what you are talking about.
Abu said that that the successful government in Nigeria are not concerned about the majority. And you see, the salary is supposed to be discussed, but if you are continuing increasing salary, and remember, it's only a few civil servants that it's also dangerous. But the labor, we should look at what to call price control, so that people price unnecessarily. Increasing salaries that started to work over 20-something years ago, or 30 to 30 years. I don't think our increasing salary has affected us. I think that the government will look at labor, let's consider and control the price instead of continuing increasing the salary. Thank you.
All right, your aim is price control that matters and not salary control.
Good morning, dear.
You're welcome, sir.
I am Mr. Olakilani from Kuto. Hello?
Your 2 minutes is counting, Mr. Olakilani.
The rules are there. On the periodic way of increasing workers' salary. The state governments are not adhering to the law. Asking the way out is this. Our government should stop to reduce the number of their police. They should stop embarking on unnecessary elephant at the wrong time. By this, they will be able to fulfill their obligation to their workers. You can see Kogi State is proposing that they have salaries to its workers. You can see that. That is not normal. Another thing is that a proposal made by Mr. President will only cause confusion because we all buy. Bear in mind that we all buy from the same market. And I am saying now that there could be labor unrest, most of them, as alleged by the Mr. Innocent or so, leader, that mismanage of funds. There could be labor unrest. There could be retrenchment of work. Most of them may not be able to pay. I know that pensioners are also suffering. To add more to their suffering, there will be more unemployment in the labor market. All this will come up. We try to check our leader. That is just the way I see it.
And thank you yes. Thank you for being a part of it, Olakilani. You are on. Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Dele and yeah.
Hello, let's have you. Your 2 minutes is counting. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, Dele.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got it. All
right, thank you.
Yes. Maybe I don't have really much to say, but I'm just seeing some kind of constraint here.
Why is it like people are not expecting us to move out of recession? Why all these agitations? Just when they just announce that they are coming out of recession. The opportunity. Why would they not have some respect some patience? Yes, organ needed to be reviewed. There's no doubt about that. But why now? Resident doctors, why now? Also, why now? I'm telling you in the past, you know how much income we are making now. So why are you why that time we are making a lot of money. And that's when I expected to have done what they are doing. It's like this government is to be, business space. Let's come on the attention fully. They can start this agitation. So I'm not, yes, it has to be never increase for workers. But the timing to me is very, very wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's check out your messages now.
Abdurrashid Okinla from Abeokuta. It's a gradual process. We can't just come out of recession like magic. If we like, we'll sell Aso Rock. 16 years of PDP brought us where we are. I wonder where NLC and Labour leaders were. They all keep mute after collecting their own share of looted fund. Now majority are paying the price. Dialogue is the only option. Government should look into the matter urgently and disturb that. That's why I said Donald Trump can't rule this country. Abdurrashid Okinla sent in that message. Good morning, Dele. Are the rules you dish out every day don't apply to Dr. Tom? Well, that is a personal one. It's not pertaining to what we're discussing this morning. Evangelist Wale Badi says, honestly, Mumu don't do. The masses are now more wiser than those days when the APC government cajoled us with all manners of unrealistic performance stories of Buhari government. Fellow Nigerians, it is very absurd to say Nigeria is in recession when some state government could spend 136 billion naira on pilgrimage in 2017. And yet, presidential jets are in numbers. Please, who is fooling who? Mumu don't do. Evangelist Wale Badejo from Ajegunle Papa sent in that message. Let's have a slash of salaries and allowances being enjoyed by the president, ministers, National Assembly members, state governors, state assembly members, and other political functionaries, and throw the same into the economy for 6 months and see the result. This is from me, Mr. S.K. Adeyemi Mayetoro. Adeoye Boluwatife says agitating will continue unless gap between politicians pay and workers' pay are removed. It won't stop until the national cake is exhausted. He also said, I always hear this country is rich enough. This is a country where borrowed funds are embezzled. For God's sake. Again, he said, making reference to politicians' prophylaxis to mean that government can meet all our demand is misleading. Eye for an eye. My suggestion, let all unions, ASU, NLC, and TUC stop demanding 4-month fund now. And lastly, from Adeoye Boluwatife, rather we should channel all our energy to see to it that government drastically reduce their running costs. Olale Konduton says the government is dragging feet on the issue of minimum wage, but I bet you they should be expecting the worst from Labour soonest. And again from Adeoye, we should be united in our demand for transparency and accountability and possibly unicameral legislature. And doing so will make more fund available for investment in education, good road infrastructure, constant power, etc. And Yemi Da Vinci says, I agree with the Labour leader that the issue of minimum wage is that of collective bargaining, a minimum for all employers. Olale Konduto says the government is only using delayed taxes, but I bet you they will soon get what they are asking for from Labour. Yemi Da Vinci says any state government who refuses to disclose his or her security vote amount has no moral right not to pay minimum wage. Issue of selective or staggered minimum wage increase may work to reduce government burden, but will increase corruption, in my opinion. That is Yemi Da Vinci. He continued, he said, will it be that grade 10 and below will have one wage floor and grade 13 and above another? What of private sector? Accurate Camille says, we've been talking of price control and economic stability for years, yet nothing forthcoming. For now, how long will workers bear the brunt? Alright, and again, it said there can't be perfect time to resolve this issue of minimum wage. Selective isn't an option. Purchasing power of works is just too low. And those are the tweets we've got for now.
So we go back and take calls from you. Hello.
My name is Abdul from Nigeria.
All right.
We are talking about selective absentee. You know, our government, they don't have that, clear heart. Take that good, decision. But let me tell you, there's a particular state now, I know, I expecting not more than 500 million as a worker salary in a month. And after we come out and they are taking good allocation, they are generating good money. So how much is it? And still they will do those instruction, they will still do those kind of things. And they are not talking about selective. I don't know. They are talking about some people to be specially paid. I cannot even compare it because when you are saying to be specially paid, they're supposed to be left out. Even the payment is not even something on the balance page now. Some states are paying higher fine. When you look at the economy, when you look at the situation of life here, standard of living is very hard. You are not saying to people, I just don't know. I think the labor, they are the one that have, duty to be done. They should make sure that this is what they want, and that's what they stand for. Any government that is not ready to take care of the workers should be voted out. Even in this state, this state. From 2019, any government that is believed the workers should be put at the background, they send them away. If they come, send them away. Don't even vote for them. You must be ready to tell you that this is what they want to do for you before you can even vote for anybody among them. How much are they paying for the workers? How much? I've said it. Someone is saying the National Assembly is there, like fine. Also, the government of the state to declare a salary. Let's know how much you are taking. Let's know how much your cabinet are taking. You cannot keep saying these people should not pay them. And they keep doing it. Once they salary them, once they put them down, so that they will not be able to do anything else.
All right.
They keep dealing with them so that they will not be able to pay anything else.
Thank you. You are approaching your 2 minutes. Yes, thank you. All right, as we cruise home, let's add your call. The messages are...
Good morning, Mr. Dele.
Morning.
Yes. My name is Olugbe. They are calling from Olugbe here in Abeokuta. Yes, I'm not against workers agitating for minimum wage. But at the same time, there is no proper monitoring of our governors from the center. You see, last year, the federal government started giving them
Sorry, Benga, we are not actually looking. Let's Benga, that's not the focus. It's about the selective. We are talking about wage increase now. Some other time when we are talking about.
I am not against wage increase. There must be a price control board.
All right.
Price control board must be set up to monitor some of our commodities.
Okay.
The commoners will live a very good life.
All right, thank you, Benga. Thank you for contributing. All right, 2 calls. Yes, that's the maximum. We can take 1, 2 calls. Go back and check out your messages. Hello, you are on.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you, sir.
This is Simida. I'm calling from Elewero.
All right, your 2 minutes is counting.
The issue of the minimum wage, as I'm concerned, is the higher the salary, the higher the price of the commodities are as well. When you
Sorry, again, don't let us shift the focus. What we are looking at is what do you understand by a selective minimum wage increase?
the selected minimum wage increase will only favor some parts and it will affect some part as well. Looking at it from the perspective of the government, they would get more salary and the workforce, I mean the teachers and all other people within the economy will be affected. Thank you.
All right, that's your understanding of it. Okay, let's add this last call and then check the messages. This will be the last call for the day and on the program. Hello, hello, you have the
Hello,
opportunity.
good morning.
Yes, sir, good morning.
This is Honorable Fatah Senator.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
calling from Ishagarili.
All right, Honorable Fatah, anytime.
It will be okay for the increment of the minimum wages. That would give encouragement to all these ministries to place attention on their work and to be punctual. That is what I understand. So thank you. Good morning.
All right, thank you. Okay, short code.
All right, checking the messages on the short code here. Okay, a salary increment only favors government workers. Price control is best step the government should take now. Alhaji Ayorinde from Berekudo sent in that message. And to the tweets now. Akorede Camille says there can't be perfect time to resolve this issue of minimum wage. Selective isn't an option. Purchasing power of works is just too low. And he said labor union will continue to demand for more wages until the government at all levels stop their useless earning and spending. And again, Ogumola Aderemi says government should look at side of prices control measures. All right, that is it.
And of course, that will be it for the day. I thank everybody who been a part of it. And of course, many thanks to Dr. Ozo-Esan, Secretary General, Nigerian Labour Congress, who spoke with us at the beginning of the program all the way from Abuja, and the President-General Trade Union Congress, or the one they call the National President of the Trade Union Congress, Malam Boboye Kaigama, who also joined us online from Taraba, Taraba State. And of course, to all of you who just patiently listen and enjoy the program, let's keep the debate on. Tomorrow is a Friday. That means it's the open day. There will be time for you to talk on any issue as far as they complied with the rules and the style of the game. Dele Ayodo is my name. God bless you all. God bless Nigeria, and God bless Rock City.